why you want to be a good storyteller. To really master like storytelling, you need so much time invested in order to practice it. If you don't have that, you're just not going to last. So that's why it's so important for us to actually want to be good at storytelling. If you sit there and you're waiting for a cool idea to start before you make a content or before you write a story, you're just never going to get there. You know, you do that long enough, you start to have confidence that if you just sit and stare at that blank page and start writing, something is going to come out of it. And 90% of the work is rewriting. You have to actually write it out, rewrite, edit, keep editing it until something clicks, and then you get there. Chekhov's gun is a concept in writing. You know, in screenwriting, what happens is if you show a shot of, let's say, a gun to the audience, subliminally we know there's a significance to that gun. And throughout the whole story, throughout the whole movie, we're looking for, okay, what does that gun represent? Once you show a gun in a story, you have to use it. Otherwise, at the end of the movie, people are going to be like, what was that gun all about? I don't understand, right? And it just like doesn't make any sense. That's kind of what happens when every element that's in the story that doesn't support the story has to be removed. I think what we want to do is we want to get used to killing our darlings when it comes to like writing statements. What I want to see, at least in practice, the myth in one sentence. And I want to see the truth, the final lesson in one sentence. But the example in between should be as specific as it can. I don't want to see some like poetry or some literary poetry or Nobel Prize winning kind of literature. I want to see almost like a children's book. I want the stories to be simple, clear, that they're going to understand it. Every day I see things happening around me, right? Most of the time it's like, it's triggered from me seeing somebody. I was like, oh, I think this person really needs to hear this lesson. A lot of times it's like, okay, this is what I want to write about. And then once I start writing, it gets inflated, and kind of becomes vague. And then I have to stop myself, reset, and be like, okay, wait a minute. Who am I writing this for? Which lesson? So I pick out all the multiple lessons there. It's like, okay, I'm going to pick this one and I'm just going to talk about that and ignore the rest. And then I start writing that again. Once I get focused, I start writing and it gets convoluted again. And then I have to do it again. Once I get clear, okay, I am going to stick to this one idea. Then I start thinking about other examples that I can use to connect the idea. And then now I know the real lesson. I start with the myth, the lesson, and then now I have to rewrite the whole thing. And then I rinse and repeat until I can get it down to 10 sentences, 10 slide carousel with 10 words or less. Checklist that you can use to test your story. Number one, who is this story for? And it's best if you can think of one specific person. Once you have that, one of the ways you can test is, can you write this story in 3 sentences and have it make sense? Once it passes that test, then I'm going like, okay, now let me write it out. And I'll write, can I make it in 10 sentences or less? And then 10 words or less per sentence. There's a website called hemingwayapp.com. So if you paste your story into the app, it'll actually tell you what's the reading level of that story. And ideally you want to be at somewhere between like 6th and 7th grade level. I want all of you guys to write a carousel. 10 slides, 10 words or less per slide. And then I want you to try to pick a carousel that somebody else has written. And then I want you to try to rewrite that one. Thank you, everyone. So great seeing you. I'm looking forward to reading all your carousels. Have a good night. Have a good day. Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Maria.
Bye.